Hi there. Hello again. One day, it was a good few years ago now, because the children were quite small, my wife came home from work to find all the doors open and the contents removed. I should have known better, she said, than to leave the children's Advent calendars where their father could find them. I do still feel quite guilty when I think about it. What she was meaning was this: one of those Advent calendars where you open the little door and there's a piece of chocolate behind it. You open one door every day in the run-up to Christmas. At least that's what you're supposed to do. But there was one night in the run-up to that particular Christmas when my wife was out, the children were in bed, and I developed a bit of a hankering after some chocolate. As you do. Well, I couldn't go out for some, and I looked through all the cupboards and couldn't find any. But there on the sideboard were the children's Advent calendars with chocolate inside. Temptation just sort of overpowered me. That's why when she came home later that evening, my wife found the evidence of my misdemeanour. It was a long time before she or the children allowed me to forget it. Nowadays, it's easy to think of Advent simply as the 25 days over which the children open the wee doors in their Advent calendars. It's a time when the grown-ups prepare for the great consumer fest that the world has made of Christmas. Cards to be written, presents to be bought and wrapped, decorations to be hung and trees dressed, food to be bought and prepared, and most of it eaten, all against the countdown on the real calendar that spells excitement for some and stress for others. The wee elves who work for Amazon are working their wee socks off right now. In all of that, we tend to lose sight of what Advent is really about. It should be a time when we focus on and prepare ourselves for the last things: the second coming of Christ, the end of the world, death, the general resurrection, the judgment to come, and the new heaven and the new earth. There are some very big and very challenging thoughts in there, and some of them aren't exactly seasonal thoughts. Little wonder that we find it easier to focus on the countdown to Christmas, the coming celebration of the Christ child's birth, rather than on his second coming, on incarnation, rather than eschatology. Now there's a big word to include in any midweek message. Eschatology. It sounds impressive, doesn't it? But it's just one of those shorthand words theologians use for the church's doctrine on the things that will happen at the end of time. When the Gospels speak of the last days, it's often in stark, frightening, apocalyptic language that describes the heavens torn apart, the sun growing dark, the moon no longer shining, and the stars falling from the sky like leaves. They speak of God coming to us riding on the storm, the God who makes the mountains shake, the God who, in the imagery of the Psalms, shakes the wilderness and strips the forests bare. They set before us troubling parables where the kingdom of God comes unexpectedly, like a thief in the night. And in case we find thoughts of signs and portents too fearsome, in case we find ourselves fearing judgment and the coming day of God, it's important that we should remember that our God is a God of mercy. The God who tears the sky apart will gather his people to him and comfort them. It's important to remember, not just in Advent, that we are called to be people of faith. And faith here doesn't mean just any generally good and vaguely religious attitude to life. It means believing that the God of life and death has been at work throughout our history and is at work here and now, in and through Jesus, in and through our lives, and in all our words and actions. Many voices clamour for our attention in Advent, and the world's enticements are a constant distraction at any time. Our faith can be undermined and weakened, and is constantly under attack. But our faith remains the source and sure foundation of our Advent hope, and we must never let it go. Bye for now. God bless. Now, where's door number 2? A wee bar of chocolate.